Hey guys, welcome. Some of you welcome back. In today's video, I'm taking a look at the F-15E by Razbam that came out a couple of days ago. I have to admit, initially I saw some videos of the F-15E that disturbed me. I kind of looked at them and said, whoa, I hope this is not what is coming out. And to Razbam's credit, what came out was actually very decent, I think. Let me go over a couple of things. Now, just a quick warning. When I do my videos, this is flight dynamics only. I don't care about all the little gadgets. I don't care how pretty it looks. I am in DCS because I want to fly, not because I want to look at airplanes. And what I'm looking for out of the airplane is how does it fly? Does it fly like the real thing? So if you're expecting a nice, beautiful video with great shots, and yeah, that's not me. I'm going to give you flight dynamics, what I see in it, how it flies, and that's it. So having said that, let's go right into this video. The first thing I did was actually take off with full weight. This is 77,000 pounds, 3 tanks, 8 missiles. One thing that I did notice on this that kind of have a question about is the rotation. It can over rotate very easy. The nose pitches up, and then you kind of have to push it down and keep it in that 10 degree or so pitch. I don't think there's really a plane where you have to kind of keep the nose down after initially rotating, but again, I could be wrong about this. One thing I do like to check immediately in DCS, especially with new planes, is the vertical performance. This is a fully loaded F-15E. It does have a lot of thrust to weight, and I'm reaching about 450 knots. I'm going to pull up into a loop, 4 to 4.5 G degree pull. This is standard loop, which you see at air shows. Again, remember this is fully loaded, and it's going straight up. It's very nice and smooth. You know, at the top we're over 300 knots, and then as we come down, I'm going to just roll it out. I'm not going to do the full loop, but looking at that, maybe a little bit of overperformance, vertical stuff. This is something I've found in DCS to be kind of standard among just about all airplanes. The next thing, let me go into this is more of a normal takeoff, about 60,000, 61,000 pounds. Takes off a lot easier. You can see that nose is bouncing. Kind of don't like that, honestly. That does have some oscillations. It's just that I don't like to have to pitch down, especially during a rotation before you even left the ground. So here, because I'm lighter, I only have 4 missiles and no tanks, I'm going to do a loop at 350 knots. This is pushing it. I don't think you should be able to do that, even an airplane like a F-15. Up there, we're about 4,200 feet maximum altitude, but under 200 knots at the top. Okay, that's fine. About 150 as we come down, and then we're pulling out. Can the F-15 do that? I'm sure people will say yes, but this is again 60,000 pounds. Maybe a slight overperformance, at least in my opinion.
Pull up. Low altitude.
One thing I mentioned in the beginning was that when I saw a video of the F-15 that somebody was doing a dogfight or something a couple of weeks ago, and I looked at some of those numbers, I kind of said, whoa, this is scary. I hope Razbam fixes this. And what they were doing is they were doing about 330 knots and the 0.6 Gs, and it was sustained. And I looked at that, I said, whoa, that's about 19 degrees a second turn. That is not going to happen. I kind of said, oops, I hope Razbam fixes it. So that's one of the first things I actually checked was the turn rates. And to my delight, the F-15 actually performs very accurately. So from about 580 knots, Mach 0.9 and below, it's very accurate. I think that's very accurate. It goes up to 14.5 degrees per second, and that's almost at Mach 0.9, that is the F-15. This is where you fly it, and I'll talk about that in just a second. You have to remember, this is the E. I believe the E version is about 4,000 pounds heavier than the C version, so the C actually performs better. E is a little bit heavier, it's got more avionics and all that, electronics, so overall maybe a better plane, but as far as the flight dynamic and turn performance, I believe the C is better. But the E, this is very accurate, at least in my opinion, and it fits the pattern of the aerodynamic profile. One more thing I want to show is slow flight. This is usually what I do with these airplanes at the beginning, just kind of get the feel for it, get it to the slowest speed possible. And I got it to about 145, 150 for about, I don't know, 58,000 pounds or something. And it's pretty stable until you get to about, these low ends, and then the wings start to wobble. I kind of like it. I don't know how accurate the wobble is, but it's very hard to kind of keep the wings steady once you get to these low speeds. And then you want to use the rudder to turn too. You don't want to use the ailerons too much. One thing I do want to note is that this F-15 does not stall. So whether that is accurate or not, that's a question for somebody that actually flew F-15Es. But you can pull all the way back, and the airplane will not stall at any point. Okay, the last thing I'm going to show before doing the little dogfight is a landing. I'm about 46,000 pounds, so pretty light at this point. Up until this time, everything has been a little bit heavier, but 46,000 pounds, this is about landing weight. So I'm set up here on the approach speed, about 5-6 degrees pitch. AOA should be about 10 at this point, although the alpha shows a little bit higher, but the AOA is about 10. One thing to notice on this F-15 is that the throttle is almost all the way back. That's a little bit unusual for the jet engines. I think most jet engines, the thrust they produce is not linear, but this is kind of low. I think you almost have to keep it all the way down here to maintain the speed, otherwise it's going to speed up. So we're just going to keep it here, maintain that approach using the throttle, the speed using our pitch.
Altitude.
And as we get close, I'm going to pop the air brake. I'm going to reduce the power, and I'm going to flare. Hold it off a little bit. It's a pretty short runway. And pretty smooth touchdown on the center line. Then let the nose drop and apply brakes. Again, because this is a small runway. Not too difficult. You're just going to have to get used to that nose up a little bit more than other airplanes. At least that's what I've noticed. Okay, so the last thing I want to show is a little bit of a dogfight. Again, this is for me just to get used to the airplane. This is actually the first dogfight I did in this F-15. And I did it against the Mirage 2000 just because Mirage, I had a hard time with the Mirage 2000 when I flew the F-16 against it. Just because the Mirage kept it fast. And the F-15, you're supposed to keep it fast. Now, Mirage can also do some nice tight turns, some very good instantaneous turns that he can use a one circle fight. But here, of course, I'm going to do the F-15 fight. I'm going to go vertical, look for him, and I'm going to do what they call stitching, kind of go up and come down, up and come down, kind of like a thread when you're stitching something by hand. And I'm just going to keep it vertical, and I'm going to use that speed and that power the F-15 has. So eventually I do actually end up on his tail, and when I end up on his tail, he starts doing the side-to-side one circle turns, and yeah, I can't keep up with him there. I can do a snapshot, but then I have to disengage and do my fight. Remember, you want to do your fight. You don't want to fight somebody else's fight. So you go up and then eventually come back down on his tail again and get him. But that's, again, this is me just testing the F-15 out. Does it do what it's supposed to do? It may do other things, and you may see other videos of people doing one circle fights and all that, and I don't think it's going to be as bad as that initial video a few weeks ago before release, where I saw that guy doing one circle fights, and I said, nah, that's not really the F-15. But as long as you keep it vertical, as long as you keep it fast, make sure 450 knots, because if you get slow, you're going to be in big trouble. It doesn't turn that well at slow speeds. So keep it fast, keep it vertical, and enjoy this F-15. I think it's only going to get better, and so far I'm actually very impressed. I know there was some issue with the release, but what came out and what I expected to come out are completely two different things. So I'm very impressed. I love it, and I hope from this point it will improve even more. So thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys soon.
rate. Yaw rate.